It's just a lot of customers not wanting to
Hi, everybody, and welcome to this month's F.U.E.L webinar. We're excited to be here. This webinar, as is every month, but I sometimes fail to mention, is brought to you by Loans Elevated, which is our social media brand, if you will. So my name is Brock Lassig. I'm with the Lassig team at Cross Country Mortgage, and I'm the host of this webinar every month. Like I said, Loans Elevated is a significant piece of what we do and the value we attempt to deliver to all of you that join this call every month and beyond that. So we encourage you, if you're not already, please, on social media, follow us on every channel at Loans Elevated. Every social media channel, we're there. We also have a podcast, Loans Elevated Podcast, and you can find us online with a bunch of different agent resources and tools, and follow us from this resource, which is loanselevated.com. So thank you all for being here. Our sponsor is not present, but I do just want to drop a thank you for him, Alan Johnson. Some of you may have met him before. He's a stud. He supports our business in a really big way. He's with American Family Insurance, sells both American Family, but also has the ability to broker to other insurance providers. So what we love about Alan is he is a massive resource that will get the job done with the best rates and the best service all together. So if you don't know him, look him up. Alan Johnson at American Family Insurance. He's a rock star. Now diving into the actual content for today. So I'm going to read a little bit off this, and then I'll give some just more authentic feedback on our guest. So our guest is Natalie Castro. At the age of 22, Natalie launched her pediatric therapy office in Florida. She relied solely on the power of authentic relationships to drive this success. We don't have it here, but we did have it on the Zoom invite. She built that practice up to like 800 clients, all just through organic growth in that business at a very young age. But her story didn't end there. She moved to Utah kind of on a whim. I know that a little bit from her. She only knew 5 people, and she faced the challenge of building a network in Utah during the heights of the COVID pandemic. She decided at one point in time to get into real estate. She is still in real estate, and developed a 250-person sphere of influence in Utah from only knowing 5 people in a very short span. So she's very good at building business and building it authentically. What I'll say is I've been in the room with Natalie a few different times, and she somehow gets connected to big influential people that can make a difference in her life, other people's life, and business in a way that I think many of us probably would be fearful of getting in front of these people. And she does it just with grace and without fear of diving into these relationships. So she's a rock star. Very grateful to have her on and learn from her so that we can understand how do we leverage our contacts and our sphere of influence to find greater success and deeper relationships that support us in life and in business. So without further ado, welcome, Natalie Castro. Oh, you're muted. Wait, can we hear you? Hold on.
I'm good now.
There we go. Yep, you're good.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Brock. Everyone, I'm so grateful to be here today. If you are signing up on this webinar, there is something within this either title or the description that really spoke to you. And today, I don't want to just tell you why SOI is so important in our business to grow and to nurture. I actually want to provide you all a framework that I have used since I started my first business when I was 22. And let me tell you, when I first started my business, I don't know how many realtors here are new, but it can be very intimidating to get into an industry either because you're young or just because you're new, and really just having people respect your value proposition, creating a culture in your business where you just have all these raving fans. So as Brock mentioned, I started my business when I was 22. I actually really started it when I was 19, and I was working solo. And by the time I was 20, I had such high demand with my clients. I started building a team at 20 years old. And then I actually built my first office at 22 and started creating therapy and all these things for children with special needs. My story is that I'm an autism sibling and guardian to my sister, Angie. She has been my purpose-driven life career focus. And it has really brought such a perspective of how relationships just truly give us fulfillment and this energetic exchange within clients and building our business and really living a life of fulfillment as well, which I know Brock is so passionate about, just from knowing him and my fiance that are business partners and what it is to create a business and a life of fulfillment. So this is going to be really interactive. The more I know from you guys, the best you're going to get from me. So in the chat, I want everyone to type in whether you're focused on nurturing or growing or both in your business right now. And as you guys are typing, one of the things that I really focused on when I first had a business was relationships. I didn't even focus on social media. I didn't focus on paid advertising. All I did was focus on what I knew I was good in. I made it very clear what my value proposition was, and then I used it to boost relationship building in my company. So I went from both. Awesome. So I went from having 6 clients on my own to generating over 62 clients in 1 year, building a team of just me to building a team of 12. And I was in such high demand that people were on a wait list. Like, who wants a business that you are literally like, I know in real estate you want everybody, right? But who here wants a business that everyone is just, one, a raving fan of, 2, you have referrals coming in almost every single day of your business, right? And one of the things, yes, both, everyone. Okay, great. Well, guess what? We're going to cover both. And if we have extra time, I'm going to cover how to also dissect your SOI list into micro and macro influencers, which Brock and I had a little bit of a talk with before everybody jumped on the call. So the purpose of the presentation is that your sphere of influence does not happen overnight, you guys. As Brock mentioned, I had a list of 5 people when I moved to Utah, not knowing anybody. And then because of COVID, I actually started getting really creative on social media and learning how to network there. We're not going to cover too much social media, but we are going to really cover today what your value proposition is, clarifying that, building a framework around it that works specifically for you, and then how do you boost your relationships from there. So let's get started. I hope you all have a pen and paper ready and handy. So the framework, the number one step in building that framework is clarifying your value. And it's understanding what you bring to the table. Everybody knows you're a real estate agent. Everybody knows you're a lender. But there are other things that you love and know and that you bring value to people. And that's what we're going to identify today with that. So when you clearly define what your value is, you better communicate your strengths to others, and then you offer them something of meaning. So you're not just a real estate agent and you're not just a mortgage lender. We're going to identify which role you're is. And in the chat, once I go over the 4 roles of who you are, then let's put it in the chat so I know exactly who I'm talking to today. So the roles that you might identify with that we can help clarify your value proposition to your SOI are one of 4. Number 1, you're an educator. If you're an educator, you love to share knowledge, you love to provide advice, you like to teach others, and your value proposition could be mentoring. It could be providing educational resources or offering guidance. Okay, if you're an educator, I want you to write down educator. Number 2, if you're a connector. So if you're a connector, you are somebody that just thrives on bringing people together. People know that they can call you and you are the person that just knows someone that they need for. And with that, your value proposition could be you're facilitating partnerships. You're having introductions to people that they need in their personal or their business life, or you're just great at offering collaboration as well. So if you're a connector, write down connector. You're a leader. So leaders, they inspire and they motivate others. If you're a leader, your value proposition might be that you offer direction, you offer guidance, you inspire, and you help others take action and also reach their goals. So if you're a leader, I want you to write down leader. The last one is that you are an integrator. So integrators are exceptionally well at bringing people, ideas, and teams into an alignment that their projects run smoothly. You're able to offer advice and see a big picture vision, and you're able to help somebody create steps from that. So that value proposition could be coordinating people together. It could be organizing teams or even helping manage projects. A lot of people who are integrators actually do exceptionally well being on the board of a nonprofit. It is something I love to do, and it's something we'll talk about more today. So I want you to really think about those 4 And you can be more than one, but you can't be all four of them. Because what we're going to do is once we identify which one you guys are, I'm going to now provide the framework of how to integrate that into your SOI. So in the chat, I want you guys to type whether you're a leader, you're a connector, you're an integrator, or you're an educator. I'll give you guys a second to type all that in. Connector, Kurt, yes. Love that. Educator, yes. Educator and leader, connector. Perfect. Okay, so Nick, connector, educator, leader. I love that. Educator, leader, yes. I love all of this. Okay, so a little bit with my story and how this framework I'm going to teach you guys is when I owned a pediatric therapy office and I started real estate. One of the very clear things that I knew was my value proposition was education and leadership. One, I managed and owned a very successful business and a team. And two, I know my stuff when it comes to autism and children who are neurodivergent. So what I did was, instead of just my real estate knowledge, I created different types of presentations, or I involved myself in different parts of the community of who my target audience was on who can I provide value to. Schools of kids with autism. Yes, I'm seeing integrator, educator. Yes, we have like 2 integrators. Woo! We don't usually get a lot of integrators actually, so awesome. One of the things I did was I said to myself, okay, if I know 5 people and I have a clear vision of what my value proposition is, here's the target audience of what I'm going to do to grow my SOI. I'm going to reach out to schools. I'm going to reach out to police departments that I know they need autism training on. I'm going to connect myself to nonprofits and say, where can I serve on their boards? Is it parent boards? Is it actually on the nonprofit board? What can I do to help with that? The other thing I'm really good at, you guys, is being a connector. I have calls every single day from people in Utah that have lived here 10 plus years, and they ask me who to refer them to. It could be real estate with house things that they need. It could be, I have had people ask me who's the best person to help me with a marriage proposal. Like, I get the craziest asks, and I know someone for everything. So if you're a connector, you're really good at that. So once you've identified what your role is, and thank you guys for putting it in the chat, the next step is going to be that strategic outreach. So it's about reaching out to the right people, and it's not just anyone. It's individuals and organizations that align with your values and your goals. What happens with sales is that we want to reach out to everybody. And if you can picture a funnel goes like this, or if you flip it upside down, it does this. And we want your business to be this. Why? Because when you're very clear on who it is that you're reaching out to, your SOI actually grows exponentially faster than it is if you reached out to everybody and your SOI has no alignment to your list. Who here has an SOI that you feel 50% of it doesn't align with either who you are, your values, or the people in it they just don't work for you? Who here feels that way? If you don't, that's great. Yeah. Yeah, Brock and I had this discussion too. So yes, I love this. So strategic outreach, it involves intentionally identifying those who would benefit from what you offer, from what your value proposition is, and who you can genuinely connect with, rather than trying to just connect with everybody, okay? So with that, we're going to also break down that weekly and monthly goal of what you should be doing, but I really want to focus on this framework first. So networking, you guys, is not about collecting contacts. It's about building those authentic relationships. Who here literally looks at their calendar and they see so many coffee or lunch dates and they get exhausted just by looking at that? You get exhausted looking at that because those are people that don't align with your business, with yourself, with your values, or your value proposition to them. So when you take time to get to know people and understand their needs, you will naturally build that trust, and that trust becomes the foundation of your SOI, okay? So when you reach out to somebody, within your notes, if you wrote down educator, I want you to list out things that you are able to teach on that is not just real estate related. You will be able to teach things that are real estate related, but guess what? It's not every day that somebody needs real estate advice. They need it when they feel they need it, but we want to create opportunities for you guys in your value proposition to connect with them on another level that's not just real estate. So that way they know that you've already built this trust with them. You've already built this relationship that when they do need real estate advice or real estate needs, or they have a referral, they're your number one raving fan because they love you, they trust you, and they value you because you've helped them with something other than just real estate needs in their life. Okay. So when you're reaching out to somebody, you don't just shoot the shot. You don't just say, hey, if you ever need real estate advice, I'd love to connect with you, or if you have a referral. That feels really inauthentic, and it feels like you're almost using that person to build your business instead of having an offering of something that helps build that in general. Okay. So if you're an educator, I want you guys to write down what it is that you bring to the table and what you can educate on. Okay. And please feel free to write in the chats. If you're an educator and you have ideas, please write it in the chat. If you are a connector, what are you a connector on? Are you a connector within a specific community? Are you a connector within, let's say you have children and you are the best connector within your child's school or your child's sports team? What are you a connector in? If you're an integrator, what do you feel passionate about being an integrator in? Is it doing a task list for projects? Maybe you'd be really great at involving yourself in a community or a nonprofit that you're able to help carry on specific tasks. Okay, mindset, business tips, wealth creation. Yes, I love that. And then if you are, okay, so we talked about leader, we talked about connector and integrator. Oh, if you're a leader, I want you to write down what you are a leader in. Are you a leader at building teams? Are you a leader at teaching teams how to balance work-life balance? Okay. Are you a leader in, let's say, for example, like Brock said, wealth building? What are you a leader in? And write that down. When you get clear on this, you guys, your SOI is going to grow substantially. And this is the building framework. And we're also going to be talking about the nurturing framework. And that's where I'm going to mention micro versus macro influencers as well in your SOI. Okay, so we had a minute or so there. Write in the chat what everybody wrote under leader, under connector, educator, or integrator. Brock, I love how yours was mindset, business tips, wealth creation. And I know you being in lending, your ideal audience is going to be agents, but you also have SOI, I guarantee you, that are not agents that you could be offering business coaching to their team. And that relationship right there, if you did like a quarterly 30-minute presentation to your macro influencers and your SOI, you're not only going to build more trust within that relationship, but you're also going to build trust within that team. And when that team needs real estate needs, they're going to come to you first. Or if they already know an agent, they're going to say, hey, I want to work with you as an agent, but I know this really killer mortgage lender. He's going to be my mortgage lender. Okay. So after reaching out to somebody, once you guys have clarified what your role is in your value proposition, what you can teach on, or how you can offer that value proposition. The next thing we're going to talk about is how do you start targeting what people to reach out to? It's the who now, okay? So we focused on the what, so now we're going to focus on the who. So within the who, this could be when you look at your SOI, depending on what you're educating on or what you're teaching or what you're providing, these could be nonprofits. If you're an integrator, you should be focusing on community groups, like for example, Daybreak. We helped one of our agents. She's a great integrator. So what we did was we helped her get involved in a group that she was very passionate to be a part of within one of Daybreak's like mini nonprofit groups. And she's excelled so much in that. She's getting business from it because she's immersing herself in what she knows her value proposition is an integrator, and she's helping with projects throughout the year and building those relationships authentically. Okay. For me, for example, I'm an educator and a leader. So I've trained I've reached out to therapy offices that are related to that. And I've been able to also, in an educational standpoint, reach out to police departments on autism. I've gotten transactions from that. I've gotten transactions just from being in the autism community and people wanting to work with me because they want to support that. So if you are an educator, think on the businesses that your value would be very good with educating on, okay? If you're a connector, it could be that you're just that person that if you see something, a question on social media, for example, and you see that someone's asking a question, you know the answer because you're a connector and your gift is you know someone for everyone, for everything. So you can do that, okay? So building a network, you guys, is an ongoing process and consistency is key. So you don't want to connect to someone once and then just disappear from them. So when you have that consistent engagement, it really makes sure that you're in front of your connections, and it makes sure you make them feel like you're not just working with them for a sale, or you're not just talking to them for your next deal. I remember working with lenders and they would literally just call me because they wanted to know if I have a client upcoming. They asked me nothing about my life. They asked me nothing about what's going on or what I need help with. It was, hey, do you have a client for us? And it's like, oh, that seems a little bit inauthentic to me. I don't know if you align with my values and my business when it comes to that connection. Okay. Let me see. 2 hosts and panelists. Okay, I'm trying to see what comments here. Okay, so with that, you want to set aside time each week for nurturing and for building your SOI. This is key because what happens is a lot of people will focus on just building or they'll focus on just nurturing. And what happens is that the building, if you're not also nurturing, gets so big that you're losing authentic connections. But if you're just nurturing, sometimes you're not growing it and you're at this like plateau with your SOI, okay? Who here feels that way in their business? Yes, perfect. Thank you, Amy. So your SOI is a long-term asset, you guys. It's not just reaching out when you need something. It's not just reaching out because they have a client. It's reaching out throughout this year and saying, what do you need? One of the things that I had our team do in the new year was I said, everyone reach out to your SOI and ask this question. What goals do you have for this year and how can I best support you in that? Simple. From there, I had SOI reaching out to me saying no one's ever asked them what their goals are and how can they support them in that. What that creates for you is that now you know how to support that person more than just real estate or real estate needs, but it just shows that you're invested in them. And sales is all about relationships and not just transactions. You've heard that from so many speakers, so many conferences, but like, what does that actually mean to build a business off relationships and its authentic connections? Yes, I am constantly checking the balance between two because it can get out of balance so easily. Tony, that's a great point. They both require focus and desire. Not everyone is good at nurturing. They overthink it. Yes. Or they're building it so much that they're not nurturing. So once a week, if you took once a week an hour for nurturing and once a week an hour for building, you are going to have that balance in your business. And it could be that the 1 hour nurturing is you are scheduling appointments with those SOI that you need to schedule with. And then the 1 hour for growing, it could be, hey, what are some events I need to go to? If you're a connector, you're going to be great at networking. You're going to be great at going to all these new events. Okay. So if we do that in our calendar for the weekly and monthly, it's going to really help. So what you want to do weekly, write this down. Reach out to new contacts. Set a goal to connect with 3 to 5 new people, and also 3 to 5 follow-ups with existing connections. Number 2 you want to do weekly is engage with your network. Social media is what I think is the most underutilized, overanalyzed means of business. You don't have to be this person that shows up on video all the time or posts all the time. It's okay. I mean, it would be great if you did, because it shows people, you're always educating and you're always offering value. But the thing with social media that people forget is it's the greatest tool for connection. I will go on social media and it is the biggest tell of my SOI of what is going on in their life. So one of my SOI, her dog passed away. I went on Etsy. I mailed her a chime or a sun catcher with her dog's name on it. I saw a friend of mine that went through infertility, and she was talking in her post about this, like finding a renewed sense of, trying and meaning. So I sent her one of my favorite books by Gabby Bernstein about manifestation. So it's like those little details that social media can actually serve as a big connection base and see what is going on in the lives of our SOI, instead of just being overwhelmed by it and saying, oh my gosh, I don't want to post. That's fine if you don't want to post. And honestly, people don't love a perfectly curated social media. I don't think I used to have that. Now I don't. And I feel like the more authentic you are, raw and authentic, the better. But social media is so great in the sense of, don't just comment, like send a voice text saying, hey, I saw that your son graduated high school. What is something that he's working towards? Is there anything that I can do to help him towards a goal that he has after high school? If you're a connector, maybe you have a coach for him. If you're an educator, maybe you have ideas on how to have him start, like Brock, for example. He's great at wealth building. Maybe you send him a quick little text of, hey dude, whenever you're ready to wealth build in these ways, I'm happy to sit down and teach you. That is offering value to somebody who didn't ask for it. When you offer value and they didn't even ask you for it, you went up to them. You just created this new renowned sense level of trust and love and built a raving fan from it. Okay. Monthly. Let's go into monthly. So hosting or attending one event. Hosting can be a lot. Hosting can be really, if you're an integrator, hosting events is your jam. If you're a leader, connector, or educator, hosting events can be a lot of work, but you could invite yourself to speak at an event. You could invite yourself to just attend the event. You don't have to always host it if it's something that's not within that bandwidth, okay? Reviewing your SOI. You guys, this is big. People do not review their SOI list probably for 2 to 3 years. They just let it build and build and build, and they don't learn how to dissect it in a way that creates a nurturing schedule. It's saying, hey, I haven't talked to this person in 6 months. I should really reach out and see what's going on or see what they need. And it just helps you keep track of that. And then send a personal update. A lot of people are really craving right now this human connection. They're really craving this relatability. And when you show like what you're either going through, or you're just calling them to see if, maybe they made a post on social media and you're sharing your experience going through something like that. Like, it's a really beautiful conversation. The other day, my friend, she is part of a nonprofit, a very big nonprofit. It's nationwide. And I just called her out of the blue because we were talking about this event that we're helping put together for another nonprofit. And she's a keynote speaker. And I called her. I said, hey, is there anything that I can do to support you with your upcoming keynote speaker? And she's like, yeah, actually, I can use some tips. I said, great. I have a friend. So what did I just do? I gave value. I connected her to another friend. I gave my friend a referral to say a 1 hour session with her will change how you present because she's helped me. So you're creating value. And then once that conversation came, she started talking about an experience that she knew I went through personally and shared that she just recently went through it. And we just had a beautiful 30-minute conversation. And it built such a different level of friendship and trust that we were both so vulnerable in sharing what was going on that she texted me the next day and said, "Hey, I would love to bring you to this invite only event. I had a beautiful conversation with you, and I really want you around these people. I think you would really love them and they would really love you." It's like that would have never happened if the nurturing of that relationship wasn't there. Okay. And I found that out because she posted it on social media that she was a keynote speaker, and I reached out and I called her about it. So to recap, we have about, Brock, like maybe 10, 15 minutes. If there's anyone in here that wants to come on live and talk specifically about their SOI, I feel like we learn best from each other. I've explained that framework, and I want to help you guys go through that framework within your own SOI. So Brock, if there's anyone on here that wants to jump on and talk a little bit about what they're struggling with or questions that they have.
Yeah, does anybody want to raise their hand and we can promote you here so you can talk to her? Somebody should. This is like free coaching.
I know, right?
Come on.
They're shy. I usually just pick on people when I do live presentations. I'm like,
All right,
you.
pick on somebody.
Let's see.
If they really hate it, then
I
we
see
can.
the least. Right? Like, please don't pick me. Let's see.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, Christina. Okay, perfect. Thanks, Christina.
Okay. First of all, thank you very much for this great training. I actually found myself thinking about how many avenues that there are possible in opening the doors more organically. And so, I kind of feel like as an entrepreneur, having multiple businesses is really common, but we don't think about how many avenues, like you said, being an educator, being able to extend your services to others.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes total sense. I kind of had, an aha moment because I was like, gosh, I never thought about that way to grow my SOI. And so everything that you said was very helpful. So thank you. I really appreciated it. I don't have any questions, but I do have a lot of good notes. So it was very helpful. Thanks.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Christina. Did you have an aha moment on what you can educate on that you'd like to share with the group?
Probably just so what we do, we have another company that I'm like I've that I've started growing with. We're family owned, and so my involvement has become a little bit more, and mainly it's just managing the relationships between these corporate companies and our small business, and so we're just mainly trying to get our drivers to just kind of be more aware of certain situations that are going on within the market. Um, Helping them actually learn English because we have a few drivers who, and that I've had to step in and say, okay, we're gonna organize English classes, and I guess that's the educator in me who has now come out and planning the service, and helping them get ahead in life. So it's a really humbling thing to say, like, but I'm really grateful that I'm able to actually help them.
Yeah. And you know what? I invite you to think a step further with that, because what you're doing is you're helping build dreams. You're not just
Right.
teaching Spanish you're not
English.
just teaching English to Spanish speakers. You are helping them build the American dream. My family immigrated from Cuba, They were just Spanish speaking and they hustled and they had no one teaching them or guiding them. So the fact that you are doing this, you're going to connect with other business owners that maybe their families also came here to this country only speaking Spanish, building a dream, and they align. So think of people who maybe align, maybe their background is also focused on, maybe my family learned English to get here and they've built their dream because of that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Christina.
Amazing. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Yes. Okay. Anyone else? I feel like there's like always this person that like wants to come on, but they're really shy about it.
Hey,
All right.
Natalie. So just talking about or thinking about Christina's comment there, like from your perspective, we talked a little bit before we jumped on about social media. To maintain this authenticity and kind of create some of those organic relationships, you want to be sharing those types of things, I would assume, to social media. Like
Yes.
her teaching them and the passion behind that, so on and so forth, to create some organic connections.
Yes. So here's the thing, you guys. People don't want to be sold to online. We are shifting into social media where there has to be 70% connection, 30% education. The people that are mostly education are your wealth builders. So, Brock, like your content would actually do very well with 100% education because you are teaching wealth building. But when it comes to real estate, people don't need real estate needs all the time. They already know that you do real estate. They want to know who you are, not just what you do. And your social media should do three things. It should show people what you do, what you love, and what you value. So even with you, Brock, when you share, you had this one post that you shared about your son and how he lost a game and you were, really coaching him with the mindset of the game. That relates so much to people more than just your mortgage education and your knowledge. People know to go to you. You're one of the top people in the mortgage industry for a reason, because you value education, you value leadership, and you're constantly growing and evolving. But that also creates an effect in your home and in your family. I think that's what people really connect with, is that, wow, he's not just like this in his business, he's like this at home.
Yeah, I'm curious because this is a struggle I personally have, and I think Chris and I, Chris is her fiance, we share this issue, which is like I struggle sharing my personal side a lot. I don't know what it is, but I have a mind block around that, and I hopefully I'm not the only person. But what are your thoughts on being better at that?
So so here's my question for you with the mind block. Is it,
Yeah.
I don't know what to post that people will actually care about? Or is it the second option of, are people actually going to care about this post?
I never think if anybody's going to care about it,
Okay.
but I oftentimes find myself battling, like I don't want to invest the time in manufacturing an idea for a post when I'm with my family. Like, so I'm pretty, and maybe, I don't know what the issue is. I'm pretty bad at even taking pictures. On family vacations, I look back after we get back, I'm like, crap, I didn't get very many pictures just because like we're really, really striving to be in the moment. So that's probably my biggest struggle is I don't want to pick up the phone, but then I feel like it's inauthentic if it's not actually in the moment. Like if it's not emotionally resonating with me, what's the point of posting it? Does that make sense?
Sometimes with social media, we don't know what the ROI is. And I think that's a really big struggle with analytics, is they look at social media as in, I don't care about the likes and followers. I want to know, like, hey, did this generate a client? Did it just generate a sale? Did it generate a connection? And you can't really analyze those things on social media right now. It's hard because it's long term. But when you focus on social media, that's why your weekly and your monthly schedule is so important. It's because even weekly, if maybe you don't want to post, Brock, and who here, write in the comments if you don't like posting. That's okay. Like Chris hates posting. He hates it. I have to tag him. But one of the things that you can really utilize social media for is you block out maybe 30 minutes once a week and you start seeing what's going on within your own SOI. You scroll through and say, who's having a celebration, or who's sharing something about their own family, and you use it as a tool of connection. And I think that's the first foundation to actually having a better mindset with social media, is when you're offering value connecting versus when you post, because there's two reasons people use social media. And I feel like the first foundation is using it as a connecting tool.
Got it. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, just time block a period to be engaged in that, and maybe I can have a bank of ideas that I could post that maybe tell people more about who I am as a person,
Yeah.
not just in business.
Yeah. And Katie just said, I do the same thing, Brock, and was going to ask a similar question. How often do you post, Natalie? I post when I'm inspired. If it's every 2 weeks, if it's every day, I post when I'm inspired. So I went from not using social media probably at all when I first started my business, to then when I got to Utah and realized social media was my only tool for connecting because of COVID. That's when my mind shifted. That's when my mind said, people go to social media for three things: to be entertained, to be educated, or to connect. And if you identified what you are today, what your value proposition is, that's what you need to do with your social media, because it's authentic to you and you're aligning with the people that want to learn from you and want to connect with you. So I had a managing schedule, and I can do a whole social media training, Brock, if people on this call or anybody needs support with that. I can do a whole separate social media training for building and nurturing your SOI. But when it comes to posting, you guys, it's not perfection. It's just a matter of coming on and saying, like I went on a drive with my sister. I took a selfie with her the other day, and I just posted about how it's been a struggle for me to lean into this role of being a caregiver for my sister with autism. Also now going to have two bonus daughters who are 14 and 19, to them wanting to be an entrepreneur. And I'm struggling with this like caregiver entrepreneur life balance, and how important it is for me in my life right now in this season to really be around women who do both. And I've had that realization, and I just made a post about it. I had people texting me separately, I had people commenting on it. But you can't expect results from social media, because that's where you will get that mindset of like, why bother? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and one thing I just want to comment, we changed the settings to allow everybody to talk. So if you want to unmute yourself and ask
Okay.
Natalie some specific question, feel free to do that.
It's like, I know someone wants to talk. You're
I
on this
have a
call for a reason.
question.
Yes. Is that
Yes,
Sarah? Is that how you
Soraya.
say your name? Soraya.
Yes. So I have a question.
Yeah.
Is it the best idea to make a business page separate from your personal account? Like, let's say you have an IG account. Would you suggest that it's better to have a business one and a personal one, or that it's okay to have one all in one?
So, Soraya, what did you put in your role that you're in? What role are you in the value proposition?
So I'm not in a business account. I'm just in the regular personal one.
No,
But
I meant,
I'm
are you a leader, integrator, connector, or educator?
oh, okay. So I came late to the call.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, I'm like,
So that's okay. So Soraya, in like 30 seconds, I can tell you if you're a connector, you're somebody that really loves to value bringing people together, and it's people asking you for your network to share with theirs. If you're an educator, there's something that you love to teach other than just real estate. If you're an integrator, you really love to manage projects and bring it to fruition. You're like a checklist girl, and you really love to see those out. And then if you're a leader, you really love to teach about big picture things to businesses or others. Which one would you say you are?
I'm absolutely a connector.
Perfect. So you need both. If you are a connector, your social media needs to just blend with business and personal. 70% of your posts should be personal, 30% should be business if you are a connector.
Okay.
Because that we talked about it a little bit before, and Brock does have this recorded. We talked before that connectors are very good at building those authentic relationships. So when they get into their Instagram page of just educating, it doesn't feel authentic to you, and you're not going to attract or people that align with your goals and your values in your business as you were to do the opposite.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Cool. Well, Natalie, thank
Yeah.
you. I do think maybe it would be good for us to plan like a social media centric one that has to do with like harvest, I guess, nurturing and building SOI with the power of social media. That would be really good. I
And we
do
can
want
talk about the micro macro influencers.
yes, that would
too.
be good. Because
Yeah.
that, I mean, our few minutes that you and I talked before we got on was really helpful too.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, hopefully everybody was as awestruck as I was. Natalie, you did such a great job, and that was super powerful. Even for me, I'm sitting here as you're going, and I'm like talking to my team here in the office. I'm like, okay, what are we doing? How can we improve? So that was very beneficial. Thank you. Do you have any last words? And then we do have Alan on. He was late, but give him a moment to say a few words. Do you have anything else to close with, Natalie?
No, just if anyone wants to reach out, if they have any feedback for you, Brock's great, you guys. He does these trainings all the time. I'm here to support Brock, to support you guys. So if there's something you want more training on, please feel free to reach out.
And how can they follow you? Where do they find you?
I'm on Instagram, natalie.e.castro, or just Facebook, Natalie Castro. Or you can also check my website, nataliecastro.com.
Okay, sweet. NatalieCastro.com. Awesome. Well, thank you,
Brock.
Natalie. You're awesome. I appreciate it. Mr. Johnson, are you on?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. What's up, dude? So I told everybody that we had a really great sponsor that's a insurance agent, and because he's late, I need a new one. So no, I'm just teasing. I'm kidding. But I did promote you pretty heavily in the beginning, but I do want to give you a chance. Like, what is the big thing that you're doing for real estate agents and lenders alike to solve the current struggles we're facing in the market today? Like, what's one piece of value you can bring to the table for these guys?
Absolutely, and I think I've reiterated this a bunch of times, but it's EOI. So evidence of insurance request. A lot of people are struggling with DTI right now. DTI, debt to income ratio. I can help lower that. Our prices are so low in the insurance world that any amount that we can bring down that percentage, if they are super close to DTI, that's what I can specialize in. That's what I help with. That's what I help with the Elastic team and so many other teams with, is saving those deals. So if you come across a deal that you're like, man, all they need is this percentage down. Again, I can't help with a 10% ratio. I can't help with that. I can help when it's really close and all you need is the insurance to drop a bit to approve that loan. I'm the person for that. So if you're speaking with your lenders as far as the real estate agents, and they can't get that DTI low enough by that 1%, please refer them over to me. And Natalie, I wanted to point out that you were so fantastic, and having people hold themselves accountable for their SOIs, that is a huge thing. So a lot of people don't hold themselves accountable for their SOIs, and they forget about SOIs that are sending them business. Well, 300 other people on the back door trying to get that SOI as well. So holding yourself accountable and reaching out to that SOI, knowing what relationship you do have with that is very valuable information. And that was fantastic. Thank you so much.
100%. Thanks, Alan. Yeah, guys, if you run into those issues where you're like, all right, we got the concessions from the seller, because you run into a DTI issue and you've already invested some of the money into a rate buy down and you've done all you can and you're just a sliver off. That's where Alan can help. Obviously, the lender and the realtor, everybody's kind of a part of this, but Alan, as the insurance rep, can help get that, 0.5% debt to income ratio or something solved where it becomes an approved deal, or get them onto, a conventional loan versus an FHA or something like that. So we leverage Alan a lot. He knows the industry and he's very creative in the way that he can solve the problem. So lean on Alan with American Family, and I appreciate everybody being here, and we'll catch you next month.